Fast forward, you need come out on so how AG Politics Avenue. Political source training because making headlines. Ne Jemre na EDB Esomo Ewaha, and Idi Monia Raximunia. Best say you write a political highways in him. Na ye comedia a year XM Dola, Menoka say His Excellency John Presi.Mahama. It journey to me so a track contract in Mono. And then Menoka say a year painful contract no almost a chassis a fight by her enya asempo to akra. Na judgment debtor omu ahihye a omode eba begu His Excellency John Presi.Mahama so no onua enye asem kotoa na omu sign the proof of document attached say XML deal no is not backed by any political entity onua case no mu aihu a enya asem kotoa na me no ka say mpayimfo atrase abra omu agemre na omu boy inchiremu. Let's say IN-SML Imongram Yenhweniako and Idiaba AGH Politics Avenue.
The special prosecutor concludes his investigations into the controversial contracts with the Ghana Revenue Authority. As you very well know, Special Prosecutor Kisi Ejabing spent hours Thursday afternoon updating the country on the concluded investigations. Tonight, I can also tell you SML is fighting back. Dennis Poaberi is here with more on this story. Dennis, let's start from, the presidency, that statement that was released earlier. Tell us a bit more about what is said about this termination of SML contracts.
So this was a directive contained in a letter under the signature of the Secretary to the President, Dr. Callistus, to the Minister for Finance, directing the Minister for Finance to take steps to terminate all existing contracts between SML and the Ghana Revenue Authority. We do know this has been a protracted matter, right from the investigations of the Fourth Estate up to the point where the OSP did announce that he had concluded all the investigations in respect of that matter, and then he's made some findings publicly available, some of which include his intention to bring some charges against some officials he says are culpable in that particular matter. But the relevant portions of the letter from the presidency is what we have displayed here, and if you indulge me, it states in part that following the conclusion of the investigation conducted by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP, into the contracts awarded Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, SML, I have been directed by His Excellency, the President of the Republic, to request that you take immediate steps to terminate all existing SML-related contracts forthwith. So it's categorical. Directive to the Minister for Finance, take immediate steps, terminate all existing SML-related contracts forthwith. Now, Kemini, what makes this very instructive is the fact that when you look at the address by the OSP, in his concluding parts, exactly on the 250th paragraph, what the OSP did indicate that he said he was not in a position to dictate to public institutions who they should do business with, and that if they are minded to still engage SML in revenue assurance contracts, they may do so, except that they have to follow the law as he has indicated in the earlier paragraphs.
Right.
So that created a sense that even though the OSP had made some adverse findings against SML, he says that he's not in a place to stop public entities from engaging the entity in respect of revenue assurances. But this letter from the presidency is quite categorical. Now we do know what the next steps are going to be in respect of at least their relationship with the Ghana Revenue Authority, because these are the contracts that we are talking about. But it doesn't end there. SML will not take it lightly with what the OSP did a few days ago, because they feel some of the things that the OSP had put out there are inaccurate. And in their view, they are correcting such inaccuracies. One of the things that they sought to address had to do with the ownership of SML.
Right.
In parts of the OSP's address, he seemed to suggest that there were some political government appointees and former government appointees who had some relation to the company. SML says that the company, yes, is 100% owned private company, that it has no politician or public official ownership, and that no official, public official or politician controls SML. They also say that all ownership records are publicly available at the registrar of companies. You recall the OSP said something along the lines of Ken Oforiatta being the mastermind and all that. They also address the issue of the contract and the mandate. They indicate that they were engaged by the Ghana Revenue Authority to undertake risk and reward framework and that they were only paid for verified results. Here they did list the 4 kinds of agreement that they had, 2 of which they were executing, and 2 of which were still pending approval. Now that there's a directive for them to be terminated, I guess that pending approval will not happen again. They also talk about performance and impact. And this speaks to the very core of the matter, because the investigations by the Fourth Estate was to the effect that these people were being paid for no work done. Now, their contention is that they were paid for performance and that the results were verified. So they make the case that all payments that they received were after verification by GRA. They also say that the system delivered results which were measurable. They put a figure of 2 billion to be verified revenue for the states by way of their engagement.
Right.
They continue to talk about an amount of money the OSP had said he was going to recover from them. He put the figure at 125 million Ghana cedis. Now, SML says that is not true, and that, in fact, it is the state that rather owes them. So instead of the OSP saying that the state will go after them to take 125 million from them, they say it is the state that owes them, and that is backed by some financial records with the GRA. It continues to talk about payment models. That is not in dispute a lot. They talk about duplication. There's also the argument, which has been made by the investigators, as the journalists and the OSP itself, that what they were doing essentially were things that state institutions were already doing.
Mandated to do.
SML says no, that's not the case. And they're saying that SML's work complements and that it did not replace any government functions, and that they introduced what they say is a real-time digital monitoring to plug revenue leakages in petroleum and customs operations. They talk about their technical capacity to do their work, saying that they employ engineers and auditors and data scientists and all that. There was an issue about West Blue. Yes. And that was an allegation to the fact that they were the masterminds or they were the architects of kicking out West Blue so that they could replace them and do their work. They say no, they have no hand in that. And that, in fact, when West Blue left, it was Ghana Links, ICOMS that replaced and not SML. They also denied any allegations between SML CEO, West Blue, and the former finance minister. The final thing that they addressed had to do with the change of name. You recall that the OSP had indicated that the company had to move from SMEL to SML.
That sounds like smell.
Smell, yes, you can say so. But they say that no, that change had nothing to do with any attempt to get around the system. That all they did was to change it because it was for branding purposes and it was fully in compliance with the registration laws of the country. So, Kemini, these basically are the issues that SML is seeking to address. But it does appear that this has come rather too late because the president has already instructed the finance minister to take action on some of these matters.
I see. When you mentioned the issue of contracts,
yes,
and the president's letter pointing to all existing contracts, what are these contracts we're looking at?
Well, so SML, they were engaged in 4 areas. 1, for them to do a transaction audit and external price verification service. That's 1. 2, measurement audits for downstream petroleum products. Now, these were contracts that were already being executed for which these matters have been brought up. There were other issues that were still pending. We have the upstream petroleum audit. That was still pending. Approval. It means they had not executed that contract. There was also another one, solid minerals revenue audit. That too was still pending. Now, my view is that since the president has issued this directive that the contracts be terminated, mind you, there's a difference between signing to a contract and executing the contract. These were contracts that were actually pending, not executed yet. So it means that these will be the contracts that will be affected. But of course, these contracts had already been suspended for the investigation and the audit and all of that to happen. What you're now seeing is that just terminate them completely.
I see, Dennis. Thank you so much for bringing us all this information. Now, let's bring in now the journalist who first told the story. Manasseh Azoria-Wone is joining us all the way from the United States of America. Manasseh, good evening to you.
Good evening, Kamini.
I can't imagine this being any other thing than good, but would you describe it as being worth the wait?
Was known. So if you are asking the question, why has it taken so long? The answer is this, I'm telling you. And it's not every public official who is like Mike Namidi who can say it as it is and walk away. So probably, good radiance. The people of this country also fought the canker and got away the government, which has now freed the hands of prosecutorial agencies, and they are now doing their work. But come to think of it, I just heard you read my senior's statement about Ken Ofori-Atta. This is what I want to tell people like him and the MPP. Perpetrators of crime should be sensible to the sensibilities of we the victims. For 8 years, Ken Ofori-Atta and this government have abused Ghanaians. 8 years. As a Ghanaian, you got up every morning, there was a scandal somewhere. These are our resources. For 8 years, we were abused. Tell me that in this country, under the MPP, there wasn't a scandal every other day. Okay, let's even say that every other week. And it's not just for 8 days, not 8 weeks. I'm saying 8 years. Now, the law is catching up. And we have lawyers saying that by the mere fact that a prosecutor, a special prosecutor, has come to inform the people of this country what there is, it amounts to conviction. Me, I will love those convictions every day. Because for 8 years, whenever I'm talking, go back to the 8 years I'm talking about. For 8 years, we have been abused as ordinary Ghanaians. So, this press conference was how many hours? And you are already crying. How were we crying? How were we, Ghanaians, for the 8 years, crying? So, why? This is done in every jurisdiction. Prosecutors come out in the US, in the UK, to inform the public. They need to know basis. For God's sake, he's not a private prosecutor. He's a public prosecutor, and he needs to carry all of us along. What is this by once you come and make those statements, somebody is convicted? Why? We were convicted for 8 years. We, the people of this country, were convicted for 8 years. And so, I think that they are running away from their own shadows. Look, yesterday, in the UK, Prince Andrews was stripped of his royal titles. Was it a court that did that? Was it a court that did that? In fact, under UK rules or system, he needed to be sent to the House of Commons for a debate. But the royal family itself felt that this was too bad, and they went ahead and did what they did. Why? In this country, in this world, don't we blame Adolf Hitler for, is it the Second World War or the First World War? Don't we blame, who has sent Adolf Hitler to court? Who has said that? So if things are pronounced, if things are pronounced as they were pronounced under the MPP, where you didn't need to even open your eyes and you could touch corruption. You could close your eyes and touch corruption. It is too pronounced. Under the MPP, it was too pronounced, such that as part of the reasons why people went to the polls was to fight corruption. Corruption was one of the issues on the front burner. And people think that this is an ordinary case. This is an ordinary Banchi and Bordia cases. This is an extraordinary case. These cases are extraordinary. Look, do you know that their style of corruption has even become romantic. Now, when you steal, your spouse also steals. Do you know that their kind of corruption is not a romantic type of corruption? And you say that we should keep quiet. We shouldn't talk about it. We should only go to court. When you were abusing them for 8 years, and we were quiet and hoping that one day you'll be out of government, you think that it was easy. So I tell them, keep quiet. People are doing their work. Go to court. When they go, follow them and do your work as a lawyer. But to say that going to the media and then talking about it means a conviction, I, Abraham Alva, on any day, will love that conviction. Because for 8 years,
okay, but
we have been abused by these people.
Yeah, but senior, I mean,
every day.
You make reference to what pertains in other jurisdictions in terms of the commentary and everything.
They need to know.
I mean, the concern people raise is that by your training, you are supposed to presume a person to be innocent. Now, if the matter goes to court now, for instance, these cases against these 5 individuals, in the event the court finds them not guilty, the public basically struggles to accept that decision of the court because of what they've been told in great detail in the public. There's no other outcome that satisfies them. That should be of concern.
It is not a concern at all. Every case will be taken on its merits. People know what is right and what is wrong. If, for instance, you go to court as a prosecutor, like in the Malema case, where you say that Malema had a gun, but the one who gave the gun to Malema was set free. That one, people say that, but the one who gave the gun, you understand? People know sense of justice. We know, when we have a sense of justice, we know. When it is right, we know. When it is wrong, we know. So forget about that. Yeah. But the people must be told. Because under the previous administration, the type of corruption that took place was filthy, was ugly, was unprecedented. From the day a president was sworn in till the day he goes out, all everyday corruption. Why?
And finally, to you, the point you make about political interference, you blaming that perhaps for why it took the OSP so long to come to this point. And then the question that one would ask is, would he have the political will to investigate current appointees? Would he have the political will to be able to do that? Because if the person is in the country and because of, interference, you made a reference to Martin Amidu. The difference is, can we trust that he can do that if the same circumstance arises this time around?
In the previous elections, I think in 2020, I asked Ghanaians, if you were traveling out of this country, between Dada Addo, Akuffo and John Drama, whom will you leave your child with? Don't you know I was talking about character of a person? So the character of a leader will show whether there will be interference or not. In any case, we have Martin Amido who came out to say, let's wait, let somebody also come. Then you'll be asking me those questions. But for now, I am aware, even this morning, a colleague of mine is being invited to Special Prosecutor. You know that or not?
No, I'm not aware of that.
You know that. You know that. In the past, there would have been strings pulled and the person will not go there. So we are in a different situation. We are in a different environment now. We are in a different, type of governance. The people of this country chose for good governance and we are delivering on that score. So look, Frank David himself was a board chair at DVLA. Has anybody called him? So it's not as if we just go about targeting people. It is because your stewardship left some question marks. So I've told my people, every document you sign, do a copy and put it in the house. Do a copy and put it in the house. That's what I'm doing. Because a day will come when I also bring my documents here and show. You said I did this. Is that it? That's how we go about it, where we have gotten to. And let me say this, political appointees have become an endangered species. People are looking out, and we must all ensure that we do our things well. But this MPP administration that just left was made up of people who, as if their government was like what we call the Scorch F policy. Those who did history know about what I'm talking about. When you say Scorch F policy, it is when you win a war and you defeat your opponent.
The spoils of the battle.
Yes, and the spoils of battle. When you are retreating back to where you came from, every living thing, you burn it so that even if your opponent comes, he cannot survive there. That's what's called Scorch F policy. They behave as if this country was their property, and so whatever they got, they grabbed. And today, if there's a new government, you should be mindful that there will be some investigation. And you see, let everybody know that in this country, our democracy is competitive. I've been saying it, but people don't understand what is meant by competitive. At any time, the people can change. That's why it's meant by competitive democracy. Even forget today that the MPP has 88.
We and some horo team course or channel so mamma so Jim O'Hara, Senator Body and the Adumi Edumania. Only and Sensium, not in so one so cry.